All right, welcome to the Eric J. the Great podcast show. Got a special guest on the show today, Dr. Loreen Reid. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Eric. Thank you for having me.
Okay, for anybody that's been keeping up with the show, just released the episode on the 22nd of November about the Are You Lit uh, project series with 10 different co-authors in it. And this is the visionary that put all that together with the co-authors I had on here a little over a week ago. So we're gonna basically get into how that all got started, how she put all those people together and got them on one accord to write their own chapters for the book and launch all their businesses separately on that day. So before we get into that, just tell the people a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and how you grew up, things like that.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Eric. This is such an honor to be with you today. I am Dr. Loreen Reid. I am a certified business coach to confident Christian women coaches. And I have the honor and privilege of actually coaching high performing Christian coaches 40 and over how to develop a business blueprint to gain clarity of their specific mission, message, mandate, mantle to get to market while laying a firm foundation in that business to have the structure, the policies, the procedures needed so the business can function and begin to build the framework and construction of the business so that these women can actually overcome fear, shatter misconceptions, increase confidence, and profit by faith in all things business. And I am living here in South Carolina. I'm originally from the Bronx, New York, where my grandmother raised me up until I was 5 years old. And then my parents migrated to Charleston, South Carolina. And then at 16 years old, I left and moved to a place called Sherrall, South Carolina. It's a very, very small place here in South Carolina, but we are next to Myrtle Beach, which is very famous for the attractions and vacations. We're 2 hours away from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and 2 hours away from the state capital, which is in Columbia. So this is where I reside now with my husband, and all of my children are grown. So we have 4 grown children, and I have 2 grandchildren.
Okay. So as far as the Are You Lit project, I know the authors explained to me like they different chapters, like, and things like that. So like I was telling them, that's something I would think, there would have to be. That was the first time I ever heard something like that, co-authors being on. Well, I heard co-authors before, but it usually be like 2 people. I ain't never heard of it being like over 2 people. So kind of explain how difficult it is trying to get all those moving pieces on the same page and put it out, and everybody doing because you when you have that many people, I'm pretty sure you got to have strict timelines to so you all can meet y'all goal.
Absolutely, Eric. So let me just start by prefacing with the first book that I have been the visionary of was Confident Women Rise. And I had 20 co-authors in that particular anthology from around the world. And so I have been a coach for 13 years, and I've been in marketplace ministry for 25 years. So as I mentioned, my specialty is to raise up and actually build up confident Christian women coaches. And that's part of what God has gifted me to do. I'm anointed to do it. And so I've been doing it a very long time, but God began to take me in a different direction with the first anthology, Confident Women Rise. He ministered to me, and everything about my business is based on Isaiah 61, where it says, arise and shine, for the glory of the Lord is upon you. And so when we first did the anthology last year of Confident Women Rise with 20 co-authors, that was the focus, to get these women to really rise up from the depression, the oppression that they have experienced in their lives, and begin to tell their story. And as they were telling their story, their confidence increased. They began to shatter misconceptions, increase confidence, they began to literally profit by faith. And we know that when you profit by faith, it's not just monetarily, that's part of it, but you begin to profit by faith mentally, emotionally. You begin to increase in your confidence. And so that's what happened in that particular anthology. And we became #1 Amazon bestsellers. So Are You Lit is a byproduct of that. Are You Lit stands for leader intentionally trailblazing. So for confident women, it's not enough for us to just rise up, which is what Isaiah 61, especially when you read at the Amplified version, it talks about that. The next step after you rise is that you need to be lit. If you are not shining, if your light is not shining in the worldwide marketplace, then you're not helping anyone. And in Isaiah chapter 60 in the Amplified version, when you go to verse 3, it says that nations shall come to your light. And so that's how Are You Lit was born. Because now that the women have risen in the other anthology, Confident Women Rise, now I have to, as a certified business coach, part of my job is to move you forward. We don't stay as risen. We have to move forward and also become lit. And this is an intentional process that you are doing in your business and in the worldwide marketplace, which is where God really wants us to be, because everybody's not going to come to church. You know, I would have never met you if I was only limited to the 4 walls of my church here in South Carolina. We would have never been having this conversation with the world, because you have a large following of over, I think it is 17,000 people. So now, because I'm in position and in condition to serve in the worldwide marketplace through business, now my message is being heard to multiple generations of people. And this is how the kingdom of God is advanced. And so this is where Are You Lit comes from. It comes from being a leader, intentionally trailblazing, setting paths in uncharted areas. And then the added value of that is, of course, having 10 different businesses, using this as an opportunity to build a business literally from scratch. So most of these businesses, we had, like Dr. Wendy, she was already in business, and she didn't realize she had been coaching for over 25 years. But part of my gifting is to unlock what's inside you. So we have things on the inside of us. Many of us have transitional skills that we've been doing, like yourself. You've been a veteran. So now you've taken that transitional skill of being a leader, being a motivator, being a person of influence into your podcast. And that's why you're so successful. You didn't have to start over. You already have a transitional skill on the inside of you. And so what's happening now with Are You Lit? These 10 businesses, they come into business already having transitional skills, already doing things that they were doing, and they didn't realize it was coaching. They didn't realize that they could take that transitional skill, build a Christian coaching business, and release it into market to advance God's kingdom. And so that's what we've done with Are You Lit? And with my signature coaching program called All Things Business Builder, we're literally building businesses and brands in only 90 days. Their businesses and brands, Eric, were literally built in just 90 days, including writing the chapters, So all of this, as you said, had to be very structured. It had to be very intentional. It had to be very methodical. Everything had to be done. And my coaching program is for high performing Christian women. And we know that we had a gentleman this time, because God spoke to me and told me to bring in the gentleman's perspective to business. And that's how I met Dr. Roger Dixon, who has been in the prison ministry for 30 years. Just so happened, just last year, God had me to go into prison for 3 days. Just so happened that I've been a part of prison ministry and elevating young men are almost to the point of incarceration, but are in an alternative program called American Marine Institute. And they're in that program because it's going to deter them from being incarcerated. And I've been doing that since 2008. So all of the pieces fit for me to work with him. And that's why I chose to work with him, because I knew God wanted to elevate his business and brand to even more nations, and also to the global level.
Yeah, that's pretty dope, because ever since I came, I think it was beginning of this year when I interviewed my first author. But I always said that, authors is kind of like a field that you really don't hear about that much. I don't feel like it's that many of you guys. So I feel like it's kind of a unique field to be in as far as being an author, just like it is being a doctor, because a lot of people don't go that far as education. A lot of people stop at bachelor's or master's and just keep living their life or doing whatever they're doing. But I know like I told Marie and other authors in the past, um, what you guys have going inspires me, because I've been thinking about writing a book on my life or everything I went through in the military and things like that. So I've been thinking about it for a while. But what you guys have going on with the Are You Lit thing is crazy because to think, putting the business together is not easy. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's not.
No matter how small it is or how big it is, because you got to make sure all your paperwork is right. Have to make sure, if you're gonna have employees or if you're doing everything yourself, that everything is properly in order. Got to make sure, you have certain budgets for each different type of expense, depending on what type of business you're in. And then writing a book, you got to be in the right mental space to write a book because, your mind can be wandering off when you were trying to write chapters, or you don't want to overwork yourself by writing too much. So you got to like kind of spread it out. So, I just think that was real unique having 10 people write one book together and then everybody launch it and makes money on their own separate platforms. That's pretty dope.
You see those beautiful people there, Eric?
Yes.
Don't they look good? They look good, don't they? So, you met many of them the other week, like you said, but you haven't met Kimberly Yap. She's in Canada. So this book is global. These confident Christian women coaches, and remember, they're coaches first, and then the authoring is an added value. Because what happens is when you're building a business and brand, you need that credibility. You want people to know and see you as an expert. So she has 25 years of experience being a registered nurse and also in the field of helping women sabotage infertility issues. There's a lot of African American women that want to have children, but they don't understand what's going on with their bodies because they haven't been educated. She's dedicated her life to educating and empowering women around the world so that they can have children, so that they can really understand their bodies and understand their menstrual cycle and how that's affecting even their mental health. And so she's from Canada, and that's her platform. Dory Kyler is also a registered nurse, and she is a nurse navigator. So she is also a survivor of breast cancer and also a survivor of domestic violence. She was actually burned alive. So if you look closely at her picture, you can see half of her face was burnt. So what she did is she came into the book Confident Women Rise from last year, and she wrote her story about what took place with the domestic violence issue. And then this year, she's launching her business. And so, as a nurse navigator to help other women navigate the medical system if you've been diagnosed with breast cancer. I don't think you met Coach Angela Taylor Fisher. She is actually coaching single mothers, Eric, on how to get to the bag. She has been gifted, God has gifted her with strategies of how to help single mothers that have children, but they don't have that parental support and don't have that spousal support to really help their children be successful in life. So instead of them waiting on a child support check or the government, what Coach Angela does is she gives them strategies based on biblical principles and her experience of how to generate money so that these women can now become self-sufficient, possessing enough, require no aid or support. So these are just some of the ladies that you did not meet. And of course, Coach Janine, she is originally from Africa. Now she has been in business a long time, and she's her coaching platform is leader. She's a leader. So did not build her coaching business with her. She just came in solely as a co-author, but she and I collaborate because both of us have global brands. So we know that collaboration is better than competition. We complete, we don't compete. So we have done a collaboration with our magazines. I'm also the editor-in-chief of Unlock What's Inside You magazine. And she has a magazine that will be released in 4 different languages called Emoja Mag. So that's how she came into the project. So these is just the coaching businesses that have literally been built in 90 days. And as I said, Coach Janine, her focus was on actually writing her chapter. Actually writing her chapter. And but we have always been collaborating. So I just kind of like wanted you to just see the power of not just telling your story as an author, but using this anthology, which is a tangible, we call this in business a tangible. This is a tangible. This is something to prove that I've been through coaching. This is something that's going to prove that I've built my business intentionally. It's a tangible. I can give it to my clients. And they already are starting to build their clients. And as you alluded to, they already done their certification and their legalization of their businesses. Matter of fact, Coach Angela just completed hers as well. And she just got all of her licensure from her state. She's from Texas. So each of these people have different requirements based on their state. And sometimes it could take a little longer for you to become a legal, it's called a registered or certified business based on your state. So we walk through them with that and making sure that they have all of the appropriate documentation so that they are listed as, why does my camera keep coming off? I'm sorry. Listed as registered and certified businesses based on their state. And as you alluded to, it's also going to be important that as they begin to generate money from clients, that they have their business set up as a business account with their particular bank. So when PayPal comes in, Cash App comes in, a payment comes in, you're already knowing how to how to organize your money and report it to the IRS. Also, another thing that's going to be important is because we have the book, making sure that in your state, you are making sure that you may or may not, based on your state and based on the requirements of the state, maybe have to have what's called a sales retail license to sell in person, which is the tangible book, and also to sell online. So a lot of these co-authors had to go through that process, and many of them did find out based on their state that they had to have that, and they didn't know that they were supposed to have that because many of them had already been authors before, but no one told them the business side of business. And so this is why having this particular signature coaching program that I've created, All Things Business, it's literally taking care of all things business. So you're not just writing a story, you're not just a co-author, you're literally building your business and brand, and you're certifying your business and you're getting it ready for market so that when you receive clients in, you know what to report and what's taxable, what's going to be something that's a tax write-off, you're going to get your money back. So all of the coaching that they've done for me, that's a tax write-off. All of the fact that anything that they've done to get their legalization of their business or with this book that they had to pay out, they're going to get their money back because they have structured and taken the time to structure the business correctly so that now that they qualify for those tax deductions and they're able to know how to file. So all of that is just some business tips I wanted to give your audience because it goes into a lot of in-depth things that we just really need to know.
Right. So what made you one day just decided that you was gonna put all this together?
Well, my boss. My boss is the ultimate businessman who is Jesus Christ. And as I said, this is what I'm called to do. I've been in marketplace ministry for 25 years. I started as in 1996 as a teacher. So I have that experience. I served 19 years in the public school system. And matter of fact, I taught English primarily a lot of that time. So that's an added value. As I said, we have transitional skills that we can actually use in business. And so that's one of the things that I use to pull all of this together. But as a certified business coach to confident Christian women, I wanted them to be able to release their businesses, get credibility all at the same time. And this particular signature coaching program does that. All Things Business Builder does that. It allows you to do so many different things all at one time within the 90-day period. And then what often happens is after the 90-day period, the clients are just wanting that support to continue to position their business and brand into the marketplace. So many of them continue in their coaching because what they find is having that accountability, having someone, having me walk them through every step of the progression that their clients are going to need when they start coming in is very important. So it's just working together. But to answer your question, for me, my business is my ministry, and my ministry is my business. It's not disjointed. It's not compartmentalized. For me, I understand what my mission is. I understand what my message is. I understand what my mandate is. I've been mandated. I've been assigned to do what I do, and I could not do it without the help of the ultimate businessman. He graces me to do it. I tap into 90% of what I do is through the anointing. 90% of what I do is supernatural because I'm a kingdompreneur. I'm not an entrepreneur. I'm a kingdompreneur, and there's a difference. Entrepreneur works for themselves. I don't work for myself. I work for the ultimate businessman. I understand I've been commissioned by him to advance his kingdom in the earth. And because I understand that, I approach business very differently than an entrepreneur would, or a different type of coach would. And so that's kind of the difference with me, Eric, is just really knowing who I am and what I've been called to do, and understanding how, because I've gone through the process of unlocking what's inside of me, and I'm still going through that process. That process is never over. So that's really how I was assigned or commissioned or mandated to do what I do.
Okay. Yeah, that's very good that you have a good reason why, motivated you to start this project. Do you plan on doing one of these anytime soon with some different people, or do you plan on working with the same people?
Well, we will. I am planning on doing another anthology. I will be doing another one. This is the third year. So going into 20, matter of fact, I have a meeting tomorrow with someone, another collaborative partner that I'm interested in working with to get everything launched. I already have the name of the book. I already have the purpose of the book. I already have the conference lined up, because every book, that's another thing, Eric, we didn't even cover. I don't know if the other co-authors told you, but as the visionary, when someone works with me in All Things Business Builder coaching program, they're getting a conference. So all of these people have been featured throughout the year, throughout this time, in a conference. They've already gone international because I'm international. So I don't do circles, I do ladders. I don't do circles, I do ladders. My job is to take women up, not to be in cliques, not to be in circles. Oh, I got to be in this circle and only stay with these people. I don't do that. My job is to take them up to the ladder. So when these women began to work with me, even Dr. Dixon, who was a gentleman, they instantly became international because of my platform being international. They also were able to get on speaking engagements, multiple tools like your podcast, and really begin to use that to create their own platforms and to give their voice for their businesses. So the conference that I'm gonna have next year, I said all that to say that I've already got it in my mind what needs to be done. So absolutely, and I would love to have the opportunity to work with anyone that is just wanting to be an author, getting their story out. I will be publishing next year. I will not just be a visionary, I will be publishing next year. So that's another thing that I will be taking on to really make sure that people are being elevated, that people are going up.
Okay. So for any female out there, just to take you back, any female out there that's wanting to do the same thing that you do right now, just kind of explain So things that caught you off guard when you first got into doing the visionary things, and kind of just get some advice for somebody that's just starting out doing what you're doing now.
It's a lot of work, especially because if you are working with 10 to 20 different people, especially in different locations, you will have to consider the time zone. For some people, time zone throws them off because you really have to be very meticulous. If you have someone in Eastern Standard Time, but you have someone in Pacific Standard Time, and then you have someone in Mountain Time. I've worked with people in Mountain Time before. I currently have a client that is in Korea, so she's 13 hours ahead of me. So keeping all of that structured and organized is going to be key, especially if you're doing an anthology. Your timeline has to be meticulous. Meeting those timelines, putting out information ahead of time so that everyone in the group knows what they're doing, and then being willing to follow up, because as a coach, that's what a coach does. A coach doesn't just leave you to themselves. If that's the kind of coach that you're working with, you're not working with a good coach. And I will say that. I know it's tight, but it's right. A coach leads you and guides you along every step of the way. They take you through what's called the progression of coaching. That's fundamentals to being a good coach. They give the instruction, and then they make sure that you're following through with the instruction. They make sure that you're understanding what to do and what not to do. And that's going to be very essential to just the anthology itself. Now, if you're wanting to incorporate building a business and brand and the anthology and releasing Christian coaching business at the same time, obviously this is a different level of thinking. So your thinking is going to have to change. You're going to have to really begin to shatter some misconceptions, and you're going to have to overcome fear and increase confidence to profit by faith. So that type of those are just a few things that I would say, but most definitely having your structure, having your organization, having your instructions very well laid out, so that when you send them through the email, then the points are there. It's very clear. Clarification is very important when you are communicating with such a large amount of people on different time zones. Knowing when to meet with them in person, knowing when to have that one-on-one time. If you're not coaching with them, my group, I was coaching with them, so I met with them every week. But if you're not coaching with them and you're just doing a project, having those group sessions is going to be very important to make sure everyone stays on task.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I can
It's a
see.
lot. It's a lot, Eric. It's a lot, but it can be done with structure, with organization, and it takes an elevated mindset.
Right. So it hasn't been long since the Are You Lit project has dropped. So
It drops on December the 6th.
oh, I thought it dropped.
Not yet. The book launch is December the 6th. So we will be dropping December the 6th. We did not drop the week of Black Friday. We had some technology issues with the actual manuscript, and I am meticulous. It was some things I wanted changed with the cover. So this right here is the proof. And so it allows, you see, I have my notes, things that I wanted changed, things that I had to go in and change. So this is just the proof, right? This is not the final copy. And so as a visionary, and you get the proof to make sure it's the way you want it before you have mass production. So when I got the proof, I realized that there were some things that needed to be done. And then I myself took off for Thanksgiving. So we knew that that could not be possible. So what we did is we just adjusted the date. And that's another thing. You're going to have to learn how to adjust and be flexible and go with the flow, and know that those things happen, especially with a project this size. So we changed the date for the book launch, Tuesday, December the 6th.
Okay. And for since all these authors have nice followers and people that keep up with their books and things like that, have you had people contact you, or the authors communicate with you, let you know that a lot of people anticipate the drop of this on December 6th?
Yeah, so we've been marketing, like you said, on your podcast and on just going different venues, letting people know it's coming. And from what I'm understanding, they are anticipating the book. We are wanting to get number one bestseller. So even here on your platform, we would appreciate everyone's support. Obviously, you'll start seeing it on all social media where you can just literally click and hit the and purchase the ebook. So the ebook is the only thing that's going to be made available at this time because that's the focus. The ebook is quick. It comes to your phone, it comes to your computer, it comes electronically, and you begin to read it immediately. Another thing, Eric, that we're doing is allowing people such as yourself to give us a written review to let them, let us know how you felt about the book, what you liked about the book. So there will be a separate link for you to purchase the ebook and then another link for you to give a written review. That's how we become number one bestsellers. And so we will appreciate your support in advance. You'll start seeing it on social media. We will be up. I will be up literally 5 o'clock in the morning, starting to promote the book on Tuesday, December the 6th. So you'll see it on social media.
Okay. Yeah.
Literally, I will be up at 5 o'clock in the morning pushing the book.
Hey, that's pretty dope that, especially us as minorities, it's not often that you can get a lot of minorities together to get on the same page and put something out that's bigger than themselves. So I'm happy that y'all was able to accomplish that and everybody was able to structure their businesses and become business owners because in today's society, so many revenues and income, you kind of hurt yourself if you just limiting yourself to one thing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And you know what, too, Eric, I'm glad you brought that up. I think that's why you see such the great recession. People are leaving their normal jobs, leaving corporate America because they realize the power of just owning, becoming a CEO. And especially for Christians, I think that this is the pivotal time to really look at your assets. All of us have God-given assets. Like you was a veteran. I can imagine all of the assets that you have on the inside of you, the character building, starting a mentoring group for young men, especially these young men that feel like, all I can do is hustle and all I can do is sling hash and to make a living and all I can do is be what I see on the TV. And it's so much more to African American young men that you can, all the character that you can instill in them, just the resources that you have on the inside side of them. It's just limitless that what's possible when you start thinking about that. And I think for even Christian women in business, it's limitless what we could do. We have these nurses here. Who would have ever thought that they could turn nursing and what they learned over time into a Christian coaching business? Even me, I was a public educator. So it's limitless what we can do, and it's limitless how we can help not just ourselves, but the next generation, showing them that this is possible, that literally if you have a phone, you can go and make money. You don't even need a computer anymore. Like, you had me to do the video, and I don't even use my phone for that because I didn't even know my phone did that. So I didn't even know. I'm a computer person. I don't really do a lot with my phone. I do some things with my phone, but this generation that's younger than me, they know about the phone. They know about TikTok. They know that you can make money off of YouTube. They know. So usually, just tapping into those things, as you said, can really empower you to the next level where you're not working for someone else. And if you are working for someone else, that becomes your angel investor as you're working on something you want to do your own self. Does that make sense? That the 9 to 5 actually fuels what you want to do for yourself. It becomes an angel investor. It becomes an investor into what you want to do on your own, where you're not just boxed in into that one thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's currently what I do right now. I'm retired from the military, so I get my retirement check, but I use my job money instead of my military money and use that into invest into this.
Yeah, and you're very successful. I mean, I checked your following, I checked you out. I was like, wow, this he's on fire. So congratulations to you and all of your viewers. And thank you for letting me be here. This is really great. I'm enjoying the conversation. And my purpose here is to really inspire other people, other women. That's who I'm called to serve. But I also want to inspire you, Eric, because I want you to remember to unlock what's inside you. Just continue to unlock. There's more. There's the podcast. There's a book. There's mentoring. There's another business. I don't know. It's literally limitless. I want to inspire your followers to keep unlocking what's inside you. And remember, the greater what is on the inside of you, and he wants to show himself strong in you.
Yeah, absolutely. I always said, we have all these different podcasts out here that I watch, and that's all I do every day when just watch the bigger podcasts and see what they be doing. And one thing I noticed when I started mine was like most podcasts is built around one thing. Built around one thing where they either interview just music artists or just famous people or something like that. But it's just and I was like, I wanted mine to be where, I'm not against interviewing a famous person, but at the same time, I wanted to have regular people on too. You know what I'm saying? So they can make it more relatable. Cause like if you talking to a person that's a multi-millionaire, you know, not saying that, they could tell you about the struggles they went through a couple years ago or so when they was broke, but the problems that they got now, you can't relate to the problems they got now because they got money now. But if I get a person that makes just as much money you, they making $50,000 a year, just like you making $50,000 a year, and they talking about problems that you currently going through that you can relate to, and that's gonna resonate with your spirit more than somebody that's already made it and they not having the same problems that they had before.
Absolutely, Eric. And I think we've done that in this book. As I pointed out, so many of these women, they had real struggles. I mean, Coach Kimberly, like I told you, from Canada, she actually lost her child. So I mean, this Christian coaching business is not just a business for her. I mean, just imagine you having constant miscarriages, 5 miscarriages. I mean, that's devastating. How do you even, how as a woman, and then the doctor didn't tell you what was going, the doctor, for African American women, when we go to the doctor, it can often be very confusing. Eric, they're not telling us what we need to know. I don't know if any of your other guests have talked about this issue, but it's a real thing. You really have to be careful what doctor you go to, because in her situation, the doctor did not give her knowledge about what was going on. And she thought, you know, it was just devastating. So this is why for the last 25 years, she's been helping women really understand infertility issues, understand that you could be eating something that could cause a mental, your menstrual and mental health is related. And so you could be eating something that can cause a disjointed, cause you to feel off, and you don't even realize it. Because when you go to the doctor, they just want to give you a pill. You see what I'm saying? And it could just be something that you're eating or something that your body is doing that you can correct. And so, as you said, these real life stories, such as what happened to me, I left home at 16. Both of my parents were trying to kill me. I was both of my parents were abusing me. I didn't leave because I wanted to leave. I tried to commit suicide from 13 to 16. So the fact that I'm sitting here as a certified business coach with 25 years of experience in my right mind, putting together all these books and releasing all these businesses, obviously is not because of something I'm doing. It's obviously because of what Christ has done in me. And it just thrills me that you said that, because having a platform where people can really just talk about where they've been through and where they are now is how we keep going. It lets people know you can keep going and to keep unlocking what's inside you. So I really appreciate that you said that. That was very powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I tell people, I told my previous guests, my biggest podcast episode was at the beginning of this month. I interviewed Derez Deshawn. He's a platinum selling artist. He's a real famous artist in the US. He makes pain music and stuff. That was a real big interview because, I listened to some of his music when I was in Afghanistan, and they got me through some hard times. So, like I told him, I was like, I have people on here, and then they'll hit me after we get off, and then they'll be like, "Hey, that was like a mental vet for me or something," because I'll be talking about a topic, and they'll be currently going through it, but they didn't let me know until after we got off. So that's why I was like, yeah, because sometimes I might do a regular episode and pick like 3 random topics, whether that be child support, 50-50 relationships, uh, should your parent kick you out at 18 years old, or, just stuff I know that's gonna come about in somebody's life at some point, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, yes. And I didn't realize that you was in Afghanistan. And how long did you serve?
8 years. I got medically retired because of my knee 2 years ago. But I went to Afghanistan twice.
Oh, you did two tours. Okay.
Yeah.
Would you have continued your tours if you had not got hurt?
Well, no, I didn't get hurt on the tours. Like
Oh, okay.
my
You
hurt,
had problems with your knee.
yeah, mine just came from wear and tear. I was special operations, so that's like the elite part of the military. That's something that you got to try out for, and it's a lot of wear and tear. Staying in elite condition every day, running every day, and it just took a toll on my body. And I was gonna get out the military anyway, but it just happened that they offered me that military retirement at the time that I was thinking about getting out, so it all worked out.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, you need to write your book. What would you call your book? What would be your title? Have you thought about it?
Uh, I'll probably say uh, probably never back down, because I know a lot of veterans could relate to what I went through. You know, I went through a real deep depression after my second tour overseas because one of my friends I joined the service with got killed right next to me in Afghanistan, and a month before we were supposed to come home. And when I got back, well, multiple friends got killed, but we was all close. But that particular one, we was more closer just because we went through basic training and duty station together. So and then I had to speak at all their funerals because all their parents asked me to speak at all their funerals when we got back to the US. So that was like one of the hardest things I had to do. So I went to behavioral health for about a year straight every week to like get over that mental hurdle. But so I know a lot of people could relate to that as far as like, the ups and downs of the military life.
Absolutely, Eric. Absolutely. I just encourage you to start putting pen to paper. You got to start putting pen to paper, and you can break it down. So let me help you. So with the anthology, you can start there because it's only 1,000 words, and you can literally break it down into 4 paragraphs. So 1,000 words times 4, you're breaking it down. You see what I'm saying? So what I would have my group to do is you write you write one paragraph, and let me check that. Then we move to the next paragraph. Make sure that the paragraphs are cohesive. Now, ours was a little different because we had to base it on the brand that they were building, the business that they were building. So your story would be a different approach. It would be based on obviously some key things. We would pick out key things that you want to really reiterate in breaking down those 4 paragraphs. So like the start of the military, and the tours, then the deaths of how that affected you or your mental state, and then the conclusion, which be the wrap up of everything that you're saying, and what is the inspiring word that you want to leave with the reader. Because for you as an author, you're not really important, and a lot of people don't coach this. The reader is important. The reader is what empowers the author. So the author becomes nothing without the reader. So think on that for a minute. I'll say that again. The author becomes nothing without the reader. So keeping that in mind, you're writing with the reader's perspective in mind. The reader doesn't know me. You could be as famous as you want to, but you still have to introduce yourself. You have to introduce the story, and your introductory sentence has to be so powerful that it intrigues them to say, I want to read more. So those are just some tips that I would give you to just start. Now, if you want to tackle a whole book by yourself, then what I would suggest is doing the same method, but start with the chapters. Well, this chapter is going to be dedicated to this specific thing. And then this is going to build. So you're going to build up to the climax of your book. And then you're going to always give the summary or the conclusion by pulling it together so that everything is cohesive. So you can break it down into chapters. Like my book, He's Worthy, which is the first book that I wrote. It was released in 2008. That's an independent book. It's not an anthology. I wrote it. And so that's what I did. I had to outline specifically what was this chapter going to be about. I have it broke down in prelude, which someone's going to read before they go into the chapter, and then after what they're going to do. So it's very actionable. You're going to take actions. You're going to get a sneak preview of what you're going to get ready to read. You're going to read something, and then you're going to take action after. So having that outline, Eric, is going to be very helpful for you because it won't seem overwhelming. It gives you a specific and intentional game plan on how to put your book together. Is that helpful to you?
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so you're going to text me and say, Dr. Loreen, I've started putting pen to paper, right? You're going to text me and let me know?
Oh, man. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm giving you these tips for a reason, right? So no more delays, no more putting it off, no more thinking about it, no more procrastination. You're just going to start putting pen to paper, right, Eric? Number 1 bestseller, right? That's the plan.
Yeah, that'll be dope. A lot of people want to see that coming.
Yeah, they won't see that coming, but you can do it. But just use those specific strategies, because it can feel overwhelming if you're thinking about just doing a whole book. But if you break it down and then you look at one, you get laser focused on one chapter, and that chapter is cohesive, and you're using it as a building mechanism, and you're using your thought process from the reader's perspective, not necessarily from the author's perspective or the writer's perspective, because without the reader, there is no author.
Okay.
That's a little different, but I want you to think on that.
Right. So did you have anything else that you wanted to put out to the people about what you have going on in the Are You Lit project, and let people know how to keep up with you on social media and things like that?
Well, you can keep up with me with all things social media. It's just my name, Loreen Reid. I am Googleable. I'm everywhere. So you can keep up with me like that. And then, of course, the book launch is December the 6th, Tuesday, December the 6th. And I know that we'll be sending out information, obviously, on all social media. We're actually going to be doing email blasts. We're actually going to be doing text messages, inbox messages, so that you will have access to that link and just click on the link. And that link is going to allow you to actually purchase the ebook. After you purchase the ebook, you'll have the link, which will actually you'll be able to write your review. So we're asking that everybody do both. And then of course you can watch here in Eric the Great podcast, and keep just watching and just remembering all the great things about Are You Lit. So that's what I would like to just say.
Okay. Well, yeah, I appreciate you coming on the podcast, and anytime you want to come on the podcast, you just have a text message or social media message away. You know, I drop episodes every Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern time, but I'm gonna drop this one either today or tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Eric. I'm gonna have to text you and see if you would like to be in my magazine, because we have a gentleman's perspective in our magazine. I'm really interested in hearing more about your veteran life, your military life, and so that might be something we can talk about.
Oh yeah, yeah. Just let me know. You know, I'm open to anything.
I think it'll be really good. It'll help you start writing an article, because it's only 500 words. Would probably help you start writing, just getting you on the journey. You see what I'm doing here, right? I'm just not gonna let that go. I'm a coach, Eric. It's in me. I am what I am only by the grace of God. It's it's who I am. It's not what I do. Can you tell? So we'll talk about it through text. Thank you so much. I had a very, very good time.
Okay.
Very good time on your podcast. Thank you so much.
All right, no problem. And I appreciate everybody that's been supporting the podcast. Shout out to all my supporters. I got I think we had 2,800 subscribers on YouTube now. So appreciate everybody that's been supporting. Be on the lookout. Got a big guest coming on the podcast next week. Well, I'll announce it now, but I will announce it again because I'm still waiting on the video, whatever. But Lil Flip will be on the Eric J. the Great podcast on the 6th of December. Platinum artist Lil Flip. He got songs with Shanti and a lot of other big time artists. So he'll be on the podcast on the 6th of December at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So be on the lookout for that, and check out my other big episodes. The Rez Deshawn interview is out now. Check out Shawty Low Jr., Shawty Low son. You know, that was a big episode. And just be on the lookout for more dope content, and just keep up with everything that I have going on. And I appreciate all the support. And you have a good day, Dr. Loreen.
Thank you.